for fake.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're from Memphis.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood here on the show. I'm your host, Christian, joined by my co-host, Devin, and friend of the show, Leo from Geekly Goods. And we're about to take the red pill to see how deep the rabbit hole goes with our franchise revisited series, continuing our franchise revisited series of The Matrix, with, of course, leading into The Matrix Reloaded. And before we begin today's show, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. If you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Devin, how are you doing today, mate? Doing good?
I thought we confirmed that you were a blue pill guy.
We did.
Maybe you changed your mind.
We did. Mr. Anderson.
Just take the blue pill and just forget about everything. Just go on with your life. It's all okay.
It's still creepy to think about because it's like, it's still like a mind twist. Because, you know, obviously, yeah, you wake up as if nothing happened and you just go back to your regular life. You have no recollection of what happened before.
It's a very calming presence for you.
It really is. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's strange stuff. But Leo, how are you doing today, man?
Guys, thanks for having me.
Leo, I should say. Spider Leo.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back on, y'all. I'm doing good, man. Like, look, red pill, blue pill. Aside from the toxic meaning that the internet has given to the red pill, I do really like the concept of it in the Matrix movie. Just learning this, like, potentially life-changing truth that completely removes you from your setting, as opposed to the blue pill where you just kind of sit back and wake up and you're back in the same place the next day. Dude, I want to take that red pill.
that Rage Against the Machine energy.
Yes, which was a cool ending credit song for the first one.
It was so perfectly 90s.
Yes, it was.
Like, the first one came out in 1999, but it's like, man, like the 2000 vibes were there.
Yeah,
they just were. Oh man, I was going back watching like the first Matrix trailer, you know, just the aspect ratios, whatever. But it's like, man, they really don't make trailers like this anymore. They really don't. I didn't get a chance to rewatch the Matrix Reloaded the trailer yet, but I definitely will. But yeah, as I said before, you know, we are here to be talking about the Matrix Reloaded on our road to Matrix 4 for our franchise revisited series. So it is a lot of fun, but it's great to have you on, Leo. I know you've been a big supporter of Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, for sure.
I just watched the Reloaded trailer. It's pretty funny. It says eyes will pop, nerves will jangle, thoughts will be provoked.
There was just so much more effort back then. You know, here's the thing about movies and trailers back before like 2010. They didn't have access to all the great technology that we have access to now. So they just came up with the most creative, whether goofy or not, stuff they could at the moment. It's just, we can't get that back. You know, we can't get that back with the new tech. Yeah.
You really, really can't. Like, it is a very, it's unfortunate. And you know, especially like shows like iCarly, it's like, you know, we've seen how, you know, the internet just, you know, everything's so instant. And, you know, especially nowadays, like, I mean, could you imagine if like the internet is where it was during like the last Airbender, or I don't know, I can't even say Avengers, probably something prior to that, like maybe Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or something like that, like early superhero movies. Like, yeah, it would honestly probably be very terrible. So I'm kind of glad, you know, it's take it or leave it. You know, it's there. Twitter is Twitter. So
I'm very interested to see how the internet handles the new Matrix movie, because we never really had a Matrix movie in the internet era that we're in.
Yeah, that's true, because Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions was filmed back to back. So, you know, this one definitely ends on a big cliffhanger, and we'll definitely talk about that. So are you guys ready to get into our Matrix Reloaded review?
Hell yeah, ready to go down the rabbit hole.
Follow the white rabbit.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with our Matrix Reloaded review right after this short break.
Here we go.
Oh, you fellas?
It's him.
Do we proceed?
Yes.
He is still.
Only human.
All of our lives, we have fought this war. Tonight, I believe we can end it.
That's a nice trick.
Upgrades.
Mr. Anderson.
Surprised to see me?
So now he's found a way to copy himself.
Now there's more than one of them. A lot more.
All right, and we're back. You just listened to a little snippet of the Matrix Reloaded trailer here, directed again by Lana and Lilly. Wachowski, and writers are the same, Lana and Lilly. And of course, coming back, you got Keanu Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, and Carrie-Anne Moss with a few new faces as well. And the synopsis is as follows. Freedom fighters Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus continue to lead the revolt against the machine army, unleashing their arsenal of extraordinary skills and weaponry against the systematic forces of repression and exploitation. Ooh, man, oh man. So, for those of you who don't know, the entire Matrix trilogy and the Animatrix are streaming on HBO Max. So you have that, you know, they're all there. Get yourself nice and prepped. Come listen to the podcast, come listen to the show. So you can get nice and prepped for Matrix 4, because I believe after Matrix 4, I think Don't Look Up is like the only other film I'm actually looking forward to this year, or I think that is actually coming out. We also have the what was
The
it?
Kingsman is coming out.
Oh yeah, the Kingsman. I'm sorry. Thank
Nightmare
you.
Alley.
Yep, Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, I saw that one already, but
Same.
but live seal for now. But yeah, and Book of Boba Fett. I think that's the only other thing that's closing out the year. The very odd time to be dropping that, by the way.
Well, it is Star Wars Disney December. You know, Star Wars stuff comes out in December, but it just feels like it should be another Mando season.
I agree for sure. I was like, yeah. I mean, we'll see, because I at least saw the first 2 episodes of that Star Wars Rebel, the Bad Batch, and I was like, how many episodes is this? It was like 20 something or 16. I was like, oh no,
Way too many.
No. Oh no, but that is all right. We are here to talk about Matrix Reloaded. So I'm going to pass it over to Leo really quick, so we can give just a little spiel about your introduction to the Matrix. And while you're at it, we'll kind of just start off on that foot with your initial thoughts on your rewatch of Matrix Reloaded as well.
Well, you know, one day I was going to work, working at a software company, just like every day. And then I got a random call from a guy. His name was Morpheus. And then I'm just playing. But
He has really cool glasses.
yeah, real cool glasses, a cool, deep voice. But my introduction to Matrix was around 2000, 2001. Unfortunately, I didn't get to like actually see it in theaters because I was a child at the time. But a friend of mine, his father like rented the Matrix one day and was like, "You guys want to watch this?" And I just remember seeing the Matrix, and I'm like, you know, coming from Power Rangers and Digimon and stuff like that, and like seeing this really cool technology and visuals that we haven't seen before coming off of 90s movies and 90s action. It was absolutely revolutionary, even as a child, to see something like this. I thought like, wow, like the cool movements, like Neo, the slow-mo, the amazing like fight choreography for the time. It was just for the time. And even now, going back and looking, just thinking about other movies in the era, it does still stand out. And it is still a blueprint for how action movies have shaped up now. And when you go back and you rewatch The Matrix, you may think, oh, this kind of looks a little funny or goofy, but that's what they were working with at the time. And for them to make that in 2000 and 2003 was actually a huge accomplishment. So I go back to these movies, and that goes the same for, since No Way Home's coming out this week, Spider-Man, the Raimi trilogy. I don't really gauge these movies and their visuals based on today's standards. You got to really think about the era that they come from. And going back to 1999 and 2003 and just thinking about movies from that time, man, those scenes are just so well shot, well choreographed. It's crazy going back and watching those and like realizing that it's 2000 and 2003 as opposed to 2011, 2014, which I just got done watching The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, look, the Matrix visuals are better than that. So that's saying a lot that it was ahead of its time visually. And it was I like the first one the most, of course, because of how deep the message got, but it didn't get out of control. I think Reloaded, when you introduce the architect, is when things start to kind of slip through the cracks. For me, I'm like, okay, we were in this kind of really deep, heady theme of like, okay, are we a part of, is our reality programmed from the start, or do we have free will and are we allowed to get outside of what we're destined to be? It was this cool, ambiguous question that the Matrix, the first one, had asked. And then I felt like they got to Reloaded. We still had that. Neo was the prophecy at the time. He was the chosen one. And then we get to the architect and he's like, oh, actually everything was a lie. And it's like, oh, so all those cool heady themes you guys came up with were a lie?
Yeah.
It was a little bit
the amazing
jarring.
ending of the first one.
Yeah, the ending of the first one was so awesome,
He
especially because you hadn't seen
life.
Yeah, you hadn't seen Neo fly, and it was just like, oh, that's really cool. Like, just really great themes, great visuals. I mean, look, the acting's not outstanding, but I'm not looking for that out of a 1999 action movie anyway. But the action, the visuals, the choreography, really, really well done for its time, and even just now.
Yeah, that's all well said for sure. It has been a crazy jump because thinking back, like 2003 is when Matrix Reloaded came out. So what, Spider-Man was already out, had already hit theaters. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, because that came out 2002. Harry Potter was starting to take off, and so was Lord of the Rings as well. So this really was like around this time, like early 2000s. This really was like a big time for Warner Brothers, if you really think about it. They had some really good properties at the time. But I'll pass over to Devin really quick, and then I'll give my initial thoughts. But Devin, I mean, it's been a while since me and you have actually watched anything Matrix, as we mentioned in our first Matrix revisited episode. So give me your thoughts on this. It's been a while, so what's on your mind?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think as a child, Matrix Reloaded, I remember it just blowing me away. Just how cool and entertaining it was. And on rewatch, I definitely see the entertainment value, but I'd say overall it's kind of uneven. Like the whole first like half hour or so in Zion, it's just kind of out of nowhere, it feels like. I understand they're trying to do some world building with Zion and all these people here, but to branch out that far out of the scope from the first one to like hundreds of thousands of people in the city, it felt a bit off. But then once they get into kind of the action scenes, just the long highway scene is incredible. It's like, it's insanity that they pulled that off. And I feel like, because this movie had almost triple the budget as the first one. First one was around 60 million. This one's at about 150 million. Feels like they got a little too overboard with the visual effects attempts here. It feels like they were a bit ahead of their time and just a little too ambitious, because there's a lot of scenes where we get the video game cutscene Neo, where it's just very obvious and he's like flopping around like Gumby. I mean, it's entertaining, but it just kind of takes away from the scene a little bit. Specifically the park fight scene with Agent Smith. It's very cool, but there's just a lot of parts where it's like, that looks pretty goofy, just because he's flopping around and doing all these stunts as a cartoon character, basically. But other than that, it's definitely very entertaining. I agree with Leo that the architect part is a bit much. They just kind of went a little overboard there at the end. But other than that, I love the twins. I always thought those looked really cool, and their weird power of like transportation, like ghostly spirit transportation, always was entertaining and cool for me. But yeah, overall entertaining, but a bit uneven.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your points there as well. It was, coming from this from the first one, it's really hard to follow up the original and in any franchise really, because the world is new, it's fresh, you're learning all these, how the world works, the culture, the world building, and just every, the characters, everything that comes with it. I do like, first off, you put on Matrix Reloaded, boom, there's Trinity, and
Yeah, that first scene is great.
like it's
it
like
looks,
okay,
it looks
like
really good
we
too.
are here. We are here. And it's it's that big action scene. I really think with this movie, there are a lot more action. This movie's a lot more action heavy, and like you guys said, with the architect and the keymaker and everything, it gets even with the architect, the keymaker, it's that whole monologue with the architect, and I was just like, wait, like I understood the words he was saying, but I wasn't processing what the meaning of that was. So it was just like this super long monologue of like, okay, it's very explanation heavy within that entire scene. But overall, there's a lot of great fight scenes, a lot of great action scenes in this film. As Devin mentioned before, with the highway scene was probably my favorite. I do feel like the scene between Agent Smith and Neo took a little too long, because I was kind of sitting there, I'm like, oh, this fight is still going. Like, I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, but it is amazing. This is like Kakashi facing like all these like multiple like shadow clone Naruto's up in here, just kind of just going all over the place. But I really did enjoy it up to a certain point. We kind of find out that, and obviously, spoilers for everyone who hasn't seen this. The movie came out in 2003, so that's like your first and only warning. So, we find out that Neo isn't technically the one, and there's been other ones, and he's the sixth one.
Yeah, the sixth one.
See, I hated that. Honestly, I liked the first movie when the Oracle just tells him, you're not the one, but if you believe you are, you will be. I kind of like that philosophy. I was like, run with that. Let's not go with the typical chosen one narrative. Maybe Neo isn't the one. I really liked them setting that up, and then they just kind of flubbed that here. It was like, why do we even have to backtrack?
Yeah, it's strange because I mean, like I said, I love the world building. We finally get to see Zion, and the entire culture of all of those the humans who have woken up, and or actually living in this this post-apocalyptic world that's run by machines. And we see others, their leather skin, alligator, jackets and stuff. Everyone has their glasses on, everyone's looking super serious, super sleek, like that is the Matrix. And of course the green tint is back as always.
Yeah.
What do we think about the never-ending sex scene in the beginning there?
Dude, okay, I was about to bring that up.
I cannot believe how long that went on.
Very, very long. Like,
I didn't mind looking at Carrie-Anne Moss like that. So
I mean,
cool. I'm cool over here.
Yeah, I mean, Leo, trust me, I totally got you. But I was looking at my phone. I'm like, man, this is still going on.
Yeah,
like, this is still ongoing.
Scenes really drag here. It's almost like, besides the highway sequence, they could have definitely chopped some of these scenes down and mixed them up in the movie a little bit better. I do like the length of the highway sequence just because of how important it is to film, but you're right. Like you were saying with the Agent Smith stuff, I loved it, and it was goofy, it was over the top, it was over ambitious, but I still love when he like knocks a pole into one of them and just runs on top of all of them. I love that little sequence, as goofy as it looks and weird as it looks. Still love it, man. And like, it's another one of those like, oh, this is what they were working with at the time. Could you imagine something like this with like now? Yeah, if it's now.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely see. So it's and like we said, it's it's this movie seems to be like action. There's like a big action scene and then it's dialogue. Big action scene, then dialogue. I really like. I think my favorite out of all the action scenes, outside of the because like it's been so long since I've seen this movie. Like, I remember watching this movie with like my parents and like their friends came by and we watched it. But it's like, I was younger. I was thinking about Harry Potter. I was not thinking about the Matrix, like, to be completely honest. But it was, it looks cool. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I like the action scenes, but the highway scene, they actually, the crew, they actually built that highway for that specific scene. I forgot how long. It's a few miles long. I was watching the Caravan of Garbage video from Mr. Sunday Movies before hopping on here, trying to re-educate myself on certain things. But I thought that was pretty cool how, that this film went to such great lengths to, essentially match and or top the first one when it came to storytelling. But yeah, overall, I thought it was cool. We finally get more of the relationship between Trinity and Neo, and Neo's vision of Trinity dying, and it's kind of like the roles are reversed a little bit with the whole, him saving her. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, him saving her, like kind of flipping it on its head. I like that. I think that it's cool to revisit a theme from the first one and like a really strong scene from the first one by flipping it on its head. I think the mistake the second one makes is it got a little too overboard with some of the headiness. And I was like, okay, the first one really set up, as I was saying earlier, these questions about reality. And then this one kind of just seems to throw some of that away. And then you also have the animatrix in between this that explains some things. So things kind of go down a bit of a, no pun intended here, no, actually pun intended, rabbit hole a little bit, where it kind of gets, some of the lore gets really swallowed up in that second one. And I think there are a lot of good ideas in the second one, and I can understand if somebody likes the second one a little bit more, especially coming from an entertainment value. It does have a lot more action sequences. You don't really have to go into Neo being, struggling with confidence or anything, because by now he's stopping bullets and like he's just the chosen. So it's like, okay, at this point, Neo has already had that stepping stone, and we could just see him whoop some ass. But there are just things that get abandoned from that first one that made it really, really good. And it almost makes you question, like, was a sequel needed?
Yeah, because, as I mentioned before, both Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions were filmed back to back, and they both came out in 2003. So there's also that. I feel like that really confused the audience. I had to, well, like I said before, I was watching the Caravan of Garbage from Mr. Sunday Movies YouTube video about this. They covered this like ages ago. I think earlier in the year or something like that. It's almost as they have like a hindsight, but the what did you get? Like, I don't know, I guess the cliffhanger, because, Neo's in a coma. We find that, Neo's trans powers don't necessarily only work in the Matrix, but they work outside of the Matrix when he's killing off the machines. And I don't know, it's even, I heard there was a theory about the old guy that Neo talks to when he's out of the Matrix in Zion. People were saying that he was one of the other ones that essentially restarted the Matrix and picked, 12 humans to help restart the civilization process.
This is where stuff just starts to get like, okay, this is a little much. Like, was all that necessary? How about just not even having a one in general? By the way, rest in peace to Gloria Foster, the original Oracle. She was fantastic. Nothing against the actress in Revolutions, but I just think that Gloria had this really glowing presence and just was like so charming and so like conversational with Neo. They had a really cool connection, I thought, but I just liked that conversation in the first one of like, well, it, like kind of this idea of, is there even the one? And creating 12 of them and all that, it was just too much, man. Too much.
Yeah, it was strange because because I had to go back like 3 times and listen to that dialogue scene with the architects, because I was like, what is he saying right now? I don't get it. Like, this is, I was able to follow the story up to there. I'm like, okay, he finally made it to the architects. And RIP to the Keymaker as well. You know, he did a fantastic job. Like I thought it.
Speaking of the Keymaker, I never put together that the Keymaker is the Doctor from John Wick.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that.
There's so many Matrix connections there. John Wick is just so good.
I'm really waiting for a John Wick Matrix crossover. Like I Keanu.
Didn't he bring that up and say that he didn't think it would work? Maybe that was something else.
It probably wouldn't, but it's nice that they're able to reference each other because, you know, like I mentioned in our last episode with the Matrix 7, where, you know, the line from, you know, when Keanu says guns, lots of guns, that comes from the Matrix, and it appears in John Wick 3. So it's pretty cool to kind of see nice little cameo, like, you know, lines thrown in there, or just cameo appearances altogether, because it really is just, it may not, you know, John Wick may not be the Matrix, but it's, you know, Laurence Fishburne's there, and you know, Keanu and the Keymaker, and I think that's a nice little callback to the Matrix for sure. Do something a little bit different and still have fun with it all for sure.
Would you guys like to see a Matrix John Wick crossover? Like, what if in Wick 4 it's like revealed that they're in the same universe?
Like I would be fine with that, but I feel like if they went like full fledged, like we're gonna do a crossover movie, that would be a lot. There'd be a lot going on to have to explain all that.
John Wick versus Neo. It's just Keanu versus Keanu.
Keanu. Oh my god.
They were supposed to come out the same day. The new Matrix and John Wick.
Yeah.
Originally.
Which one would you guys have watched first?
Probably John Wick 4, to be honest.
John Wick is so recent in memory. It takes the recency bias. And it's just making it more consistent.
Yes. I was going to say, as a whole, that's just a better series. John Wick.
I agree, man. It's you know, when me and Devin were thinking about, like, you know, either covering Spider-Man and the Matrix, you know, for kind of like December for Revisited. And, you know, I would have loved to cover Spider-Man. It's like, you know, I haven't seen the Matrix in a while. And
yeah, these rewatches are definitely needed because I forgot most of this stuff.
Yeah, it's not like with like Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like I didn't even bother watching 1 and 2 because like it's been a while since I've seen them, but like I have a general idea of what happened. So like that's not something that I really felt like it was warranting a rewatch. Now, something like we said, like with the Matrix, definitely for Spider-Man, you could definitely just get away with watching Homecoming and No Way Home, which is what I'm doing. I didn't have time to watch the other 5, unfortunately, but I probably will afterwards because they'll be in like a big Spidey mood. So, but yeah, this one definitely deserved more of a rewatch. And, you know, overall, I really feel like I just, you know, I like the movie. It's just that explanation at the end, and I believe that is that Agent Smith at the end who's also knocked unconscious? Because who was like, that was one question, and then the other one was the guy with the blade who was about to kill Neo. Who was that? That
was the same guy at the end, right?
Was that the same guy?
I think so.
I'm not entirely sure. But Leo, are you able to confirm?
Look, I just watched it, y'all, and I'm
because I was trying to figure that out too. I think we're on the same page, like what that ending like cliffhanger is with that guy.
It just ended very abruptly.
I don't know if I had to guess. I feel like Agent Smith like kind of hacked into Zion and became that random guy. I don't really know.
So I'm totally allowed to at least say this. I've been through the entire franchise in the last, like, I went through it in 2 days, and I gotta admit, like, watching all of them like that was like, whoa,
overload.
It's a lot. Spread that out if you can.
Yeah. You could see, you watched the Animatrix as well, didn't you, Leo?
Mm-hmm. And what I did is I actually went in the chronological order. So some of the Animatrix stories you have to go to after Reloaded. There's like 2 of them you go to before the Matrix, which is there's like a part 1, part 2 that you go to before the Matrix. So the first one, then you watch the Matrix. Then there's a couple, like a detective story and the kid, because the kid in Animatrix is the kid in Reloaded. So it gives him some context. And then there's, I think, one other story before Reloaded. Then you watch Reloaded. Then you watch Revolutions. And then there's like 2 or 3 after. It's a weird, like, watching it all in order was like mind blowing, to be honest, and a little too much.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I do want to watch the Animatrix, but it's like, it's so difficult because, you know, I mean, I really like how The Matrix 4 is finally coming out. I mean, I didn't realize we needed it, but I mean, here we are. And it's very strange because it's, I don't know, like putting it in the same weekend as Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, I'm sorry, the weekend after, which I mean, Spider-Man is going to dominate throughout the rest of the year. Like people are going to be seeing that at Christmas. I'm sure there's a lot of Matrix fans out there, but I definitely feel like it's going to be over.
Dual release too.
Yeah, that is true. So a lot of people are going to be watching it at home for sure. I totally forgot about that, Devin.
The last one.
I got some things to think about. Depending on my situation next week. No, I should be able to see it in theaters. But do you guys plan on seeing The Matrix 4 in theaters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting all the red pills from AMC. Give me a bucket of red pills.
It's just a bunch of Mike and Ike's.
They should do that as a promotion. Just separate all the red Mike and Ike's and just sell them.
That'd be so
Are there blue Mike and Ike's?
I don't know if there are, but they can make them pretty
blue
easily.
Mike and Ike's.
Yeah, they should be able to make those. They got every other color.
AMC, if you're listening, I know you are. We need to be hired on your marketing team here. Yes. That's genius.
That would be pretty cool. Because, like, I mean, if DreamWorks can do it for Shrek when they had the green and purple ketchup.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was disgusting, but that's just me.
Looked disgusting.
I was like, it was so weird. I'm like, green ketchup? That's purple. I was like, no. It's just, for some reason, that's just wrong to me, at least. But yeah, I miss marketing like that, though, for sure. I definitely do. But I wanted to kind of throw it over to you guys before we close out here. Was there anything you wanted to, anything you wanted to kind of like get out there or mention before we get into scores and close out?
I wanted to ask you guys if you think the architect would have been any better if it was like a more known actor, kind of like a cameo type role. Because the guy who did it, Helmut Bakaitis, he did a good job, but it feels like it was just kind of lacking star power because he's supposed to be like the one above all, like the god of everything. I was looking at the trivia and it said Sean Connery was originally supposed to be in that role, but he had to drop out. I feel like it could have been a little more interesting if it was a known actor.
Sean
Maybe
Connery
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Oh my God,
he did that.
Like the meme.
He did that whole. He did the whole the sketch thing for it. When that was funny. That was hilarious. But yeah, Leo, what do you think about Sean Connery? Yes or no?
Oh yeah, like I agree with you there, Devin. If it was somebody well known, it would have at least let that moment hit a little softer.
Yeah.
I think for me, I was kind of leaning toward at the time James Earl Jones would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The philosophy of that scene and the writing of that scene is really, really messy. So I almost feel like if they brought in Earl Jones, like give that scene a little more meaning, but like all the Neos playing on the screens while he's describing all this stuff, very distracting, a little confusing. And I got to that point in the movie and I was like, what is going on?
Seriously.
If they got James Earl Jones, they could have dropped an I Am Your Father. That would have been pretty good.
There you go.
Even if James Earl Jones was just like a disembodied voice, like that would have been pretty awesome. But like, I would love to actually have seen him because it isn't an older guy in the role. Well, I was watching the Caravan of Garbage for Matrix Reloaded, and Mason's like, "What if Neo just like punched him?"
Yeah, I mean,
like punched the.
He seems pretty frail. Just kind of.
He's like, I mean, he's not doing anything. I mean, I guess he's the creator of the Matrix, but it's interesting. Like, I mean, I guess by saying there is no one, but then showing Neo, taking the path less traveled by literally because the other 5 ones, decided to restart the human race or restart the Matrix. It's weird, but I just feel like the entire show, not show. Wow. I'm still in Hawkeye mode. Excuse me. I feel like the entire film, especially the end, it just ended very abruptly. It's like to be concluded. It's like, what? Like because I looked at the time, I paused to use the bathroom. I'm like, wait, what happens within the next 5 minutes? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They shot them back to back. I totally forgot about that. But let's get into scores here. I don't want to take up everyone's too much time. Leo's got some important Spidey business to handle at the Daily Bugle. So let's go into scores. Leo, what would you give The Matrix Reloaded after your most recent rewatch.
Daily Bugle news. Hell yeah. After the rewatch, are we going out of 10 or?
Whatever your heart desires. It can be 10. It can be your letterbox score.
I'm at a strong like 6.5, 7. And I wish I was a little higher because the original Matrix for me is a very strong 9.5.
Yeah.
There are just a lot of ideas that are trampled in this movie, especially in the last like 30 minutes of what the first one built up. But there are some incredible action sequences for the time. And I really do like Neo in this movie, especially because it was just like we hopped over the leap and bound of like him having to find the Matrix. But some of the stuff, Zion and some of that just took too much time in the movie. Like some of that was just like, okay, we could have grazed over this. And honestly, this might be a spoiler ahead of Revolutions, but Revolutions, that third one, the third Matrix movie, it's just so much Zion. And I was like, man, I miss Neo and Trinity being like this.
I was already not looking forward to rewatching it, and now you just
sorry,
made
man.
it even
Like,
worse.
It's just so much Zion in these two movies. I'm like, look, this is supposed to be about Neo being the one and being in the Matrix, and it's like, okay, we went into Zion and all the.
I mean, it's cool to get
machines
Jada
taking
Pinkett
over.
Smith out of it, but like,
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean,
what else?
Love Jada Pinkett.
My God, I forgot about that one. I forgot about her.
What? How you forget about Jada Pinkett Smith, bro?
In Matrix Revolutions, it's not a movie I necessarily go back to.
That's fair. She's in this one too, so.
Oh my God, that's right. Wow. It's been a long week. I watched it yesterday. So many things went over my head. As soon as you said, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that was her. And I was like, oh yeah, I know her. And then I didn't think, oh yeah, that's Jada Pinkett Smith. Nope, I just
Niobe.
Yeah. Can't forget about Link.
I was actually going to bring up Link because I thought he was hilarious in this movie. When he gets home design and walks into his house, he's like, "Where's my put?" that was so good. I was
the
not
kids are there.
that.
Oh man,
that was so funny. I was like, and this is rated R, so it's like you really don't get a lot of those raunchy. I mean, this movie was very sexual. Like, let's just throw that out there for sure. Especially with the lady eating the cake. I was like, what?
Zion is a horny city.
Yes. Especially Zion. It's like, I mean, what else are they gonna do all day? I mean, they're being taken over by machines. So, but yeah. So Devin, what would you give this for your score? I guess we'll just do out of 10.
Yeah, I feel like we're all kind of on the same page here. I agree that the Zion stuff is just feels unnecessary, especially coming off the first one. And I feel like the ending of this one just kind of takes away from the ending of the first one a fair amount, which is kind of an issue that a lot of sequels have had. I think I gave the first one like a 95 as well. I'm going to bring this one down to like the 775 range, somewhere around there. Definitely still entertaining, but it really has its issues that are kind of peering through.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It's like I said, yeah, I'm sitting in like at 7 out of 10. Probably like a 3.5 on Letterboxd for sure. Because like when I first watched it, like, yeah, like I really liked it, and then after this conversation, it definitely it's good, not great, but apparently it did better than the first Matrix when it came to the box office. But yeah, I give it like just like a solid 7 out of 10.
I always love seeing those videos of people waiting outside for this one at the theaters, and they're all dressed up in their trench coats and glasses. It's just amazing.
It was a
to look
phenomenon
at.
by that point, and it was actually the highest grossing R-rated film until Deadpool.
Yeah, yes it was. I totally forgot about that one. Yeah. It's so, you of course we don't get midnight showings anymore, which kind of blows. I think the last one I went to, we didn't do it for Endgame. I didn't do it for Infinity War. I honestly think the last midnight, it was either one of the Hunger Game movies or for sure it was Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. That was like the last one unfortunately within recent memory for me. So we really don't. Whew, it's been a while.
Yeah, I know for sure mine was TASM, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, the first one, not 2. So.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. That gets a pat. I thought you said the second one because you started watching it the other day, so I just associated with that. So yeah. The first one's not terrible, but yeah. So yeah, let's get out of here. Definitely want to thank Leo for coming on. He's really, really big Matrix fan. Wanted to give him a chance to let everyone know what's coming up on his channel and where they can find you on the internet.
Hey, well, first off, thank you guys for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to chat with y'all, especially about the Matrix. It's one of my franchises that I just really enjoyed going back to this year, and I'm really looking forward to watching Matrix 4. Coming up on the channel, lots and lots of Spider-Man content this week. I'm working on a commentary and reaction to The Amazing Spider-Man 2 after waiting 5 years to see that again. And also got a ranking of the Spider-Man movies with No Way Home. We'll have a No Way Home spoiler-free review out tomorrow and a spoiler review out on Friday. I will also have an ending explained and a lot more live streams regarding Spider-Man No Way Home this week. And next week it's hitting heavy with Cobra Kai and Matrix 4. So be on the lookout, y'all. Come on over to youtube.com/Geekly Goods. You'll see 2 G's at the top. That's me. Come on over and let's chat some Spidey, Matrix, and Cobra Kai.
All right. So yeah, thank you for that, Liam. And again, thank you so much for coming on. It's always fun, having you on. Definitely. I'm looking forward to all your Spider-Man content where he's my favorite superhero. So I can't not ignore it. Hey man, I mean Batman, like if I'm choosing if Spider-Man was a blue pill and Batman was a red pill, I'm choosing a blue pill all day long.
Same.
100%. But my gosh, we have a few things coming up on our on the podcast as well. Of course, we have our the first Matrix that me and Devin covered. And if you like our franchise revisited series, definitely go check out our Harry Potter movie series review that we did. Just finished covering it a few weeks ago. Had a lot of amazing critics and friends of the show and guests come on to talk all things Harry Potter. And we got the we got the new trailer this week for or today for not Crimes of Grindelwald, excuse me, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Excuse me. But other than that, of course, keep a lookout for our Hawkeye coverage. It's going to be hitting the podcast every single Wednesday for this week and next week. And then we're kind of done with that. And of course, we're going to be following this up with Matrix Revolutions. We also have our Spider-Man No Way Home review that's going to be dropping on December 16th. Definitely keep up for my written review of Spider-Man No Way Home over on the In Session Film website, that is insessionfilm.com. And of course, my The King's Man written review, which will be up on the insessionfilm.com as well. I'm going to try my best to do something much related for musiccitydriving.com as well. It really just depends. So you can, follow my personal Twitter at Music City Nerd for those kind of updates. Other than No Way Home, of course, Matrix 4 hitting December 22nd. Don't Look Up. It's finally coming to Netflix on on Christmas Eve, the 24th, I believe. So right. We got that. I think that'll be our last movie of the year. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything that we're going to be doing here on the show. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optix, Optix with an X, for all of those latest announcements of when those episodes are going to be dropped. So again, thank you, Leo, so much for coming on. And as always, Devin, thank you, my co-host, for coming on and talking all things movie and TV with us each and every week. So let's just wrap on out of here. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Leo, Devin, and my name is Christian. We'll see you guys in the Matrix.